Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And Jefferson, in the world of weather, we're seeing those temperatures feeling slowly kind of creeping up. We're going to see temperatures, into the 70s during the weekend?
By Sunday, yes, temperatures in the 70s, but then we have a pretty steep drop-off for next week. Looking out at the Tri-Cities this morning, we are looking at fairly pleasant weather conditions, and it is going to be a pretty nice day overall with abundant sunshine. And we will be looking at temperatures today that are going to be a few degrees short of average, but again, still pretty nice, all things considered. Waking up in the Tri-Cities this morning, we have seen some clearing overnight, and that has enabled temperatures to dip down to some pretty cool values. Right now, we are sitting at 31 degrees underneath mostly clear skies. Here's a look at your weather headlines, or we will be taking a look at the weather headlines. There we are. We will see sunny skies for today and tomorrow. Beautiful weather conditions early on for your early stages of the weekend. As we do get towards Sunday, however, we will notice increasing clouds, and that might be some ominous foreshadowing of what is to come as we head into early next week. And that is when rain showers will return. We will see shower opportunities on both Monday and Tuesday of next week. I'll break down your full forecast. We will talk about what day will be the wettest for next week, and we will also talk about the brilliant weekend coming our way. That's coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Richland. Since learning an off-duty trooper involved in a fatal crash had a blood alcohol level of more than double the legal limit, we reached out to the prosecutor handling the case to learn more. Spokane County Prosecutor Larry Haskell has taken over the case to avoid a conflict of interest because Trooper Sarah Clayson worked in Benton County. In a statement to us, Haskell said, quote, "We have requested additional testing to be done. I have not yet received a completed file. When we receive everything, we will complete a thorough review of the entire file. A charging decision will be made at that time." Now, Clayson was booked into the Benton County Jail following the crash, but she was released on her own recognizance. She remains on administrative leave. And traffic backed up heading from Kennewick to Pasco over the Blue Bridge yesterday after a semi-truck flipped over near the base of that bridge. It doesn't appear anyone was seriously injured, but the road was blocked off for some time before crews were able to remove the truck. And speaking of crashes, police in the Tri-Cities have been dealing with illegal mini motorbikes driving on city streets, through parks, and on sidewalks. KEPR's Aiden Whitaker spoke with the police to learn more about what's been happening.
On Monday night, one of our officers attempted to stop two individuals on mini bikes on Clearwater Avenue. Both of them failed to yield to the officer, and just a few seconds after he activated his emergency lights, one of them was involved in a collision.
Over the last several months, Tri-Cities police have been seeing an uptick in the number of illegal mini motorcycles driving around, and many times they don't stop for police.
There are laws that exist against mini bikes being on the roadway because they simply don't have the proper equipment. They don't have turn signals, they don't have lights, they don't have brake lights. So these mini bikes, while they're fun to operate and people are enjoying their time on them, it's posing a hazard to not just the operator, but everyone else on the roadway because other drivers are not understanding where they're going to be turning, not knowing when they're going to be braking potentially. So they're really a hazard, and it's jeopardizing the safety of everyone on the road.
These mini bikes are not hard for people to get their hands on. You can pick one up at Walmart or other stores for less than $500. Reporting in the Tri-Cities, Aiden Whitaker, Action News.
KEPR's Aiden Whitaker, thank you. And police say they're seeing a wide range of people riding the bikes, including kids as young as 10 years old. Parents who let their kids ride on public streets and parks could be charged. Switching gears this morning, former journalist Emily Goodall is joining the city of Sunnyside as deputy city clerk and executive assistant to the city manager. The announcement was made at a recent Sunnyside City Council meeting. You may be familiar with Emily Goodall since she's most recently was a reporter with a local news organization and even spent some time over at KIMA. Goodall will be assisting both city manager Mike Gonzalez and city clerk and communications director Jacqueline Renteria with managing city records, coordinating meetings, and handling various administrative tasks. She will be sworn in at Sunnyside City Council meeting on the 14th. Wednesday, President Trump announced more tariffs to address the country's trade deficit, but it received mixed reaction on Capitol Hill. Some lawmakers reaching across the aisle to reassert Congress's role in trade deals, while others are all in or all out. KIMA's reporter Mallory Aldrich tells us about what lawmakers from both sides are saying about the tariffs.
Trade wars have lasting consequences.
President Trump says that the trade deficits are a threat to the country.
In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life.
Although Senator Cantwell refutes his claim, she believes that starting a trade war with allies is the problem.
Trade wars, which frequently trigger sharp price increases, foreign retaliation, and huge shock impacts to our economy, could affect the livelihood of workers, supply chain, manufacturers, and hard-won markets that American exporters have wanted to see continue to be open.
Representative Dan Newhouse has a different opinion and thinks the president's goal with the tariffs is to help level the playing field.
Certainly what we have seen historically is when other countries retaliate, they typically focus a lot of their retaliation on agricultural products. And so, we are certainly, I feel that American farm producers can compete with anybody in the world as long as there's a level playing field where it's fair.
State Representative Jeremy Defoe agrees with Newhouse and thinks the tariffs will be a good revenue source for Washington State.
We have a lot of people who come in from out of country here in Washington State, especially with the Canadian border. And a lot of people want to be in the United States because it's the best country in the history of the world. And so by having folks have to pay to come in to our country, that's a good way to raise revenue for our state without imposing taxes on the people who live in it.
Reporting for Action News, I'm Mallory Aldrich.
KIME's Mallory Aldrich, thank you. Cantwell is teaming up with a Republican to reassert the role Congress plays in trade decisions. Cantwell and Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa introduced bipartisan legislation called the Trade Review Act of 2025. They believe it would reestablish limits on the president's ability to impose tariffs without congressional approval.
Congress should review these issues, that it is time that in the past we may have directed a president to negotiate trade agreements, but this is time now because of the lack of rules-based approach to this that Congress should review this.
Now, under the bill, the president would have to notify Congress of a tariff increase within 48 hours, along with an explanation and analysis of the potential impact on the American economy. As for Newhouse, he says we're in the time will tell stage, saying the impact is amid a whirlwind of uncertainty. Now, we've reached out to Senator Murray for her remarks, and you can find her full statement along with the ones from Representatives Newhouse and Dufault on our website, KIMATV.com. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan to talk the weather here, because a whole lot of sunshine seems to be on the docket for today.
Yeah, today is going to be a very sunny day, a very pleasant day of weather around the forecast area. Temperatures into the 60s with that sunshine. Now, what I will say is that these daytime highs are going to be right around average, a degree or two above or below average one way or the other. Again, with mostly sunny skies. We aren't going to be keeping the sunshine forever, though. I'll tell you when rainfall will be back in the forecast coming up.